Greetings and welcome to my little corner of YouTube. My name is Lindsay Pogue and I am the author of the Savage North Chronicles, and today is another installment in my Ask Me Anything author Q&A. I have readers who leave comments and write to me asking me questions about my series, my favorite scenes, how I write scenes, how I came up with certain characters, who my favorite characters are, which my favorite series and books are, that sort of thing. And so I am answering these questions for you today. Specifically though, I am talking about the second book in my list of 5 favorite books that I've written out of the 30 to date. And that book is The Darkest Winter. This is book 1 in the Savage North Chronicles, and I think most of you have probably found me through this bad boy right here. And this is what we're going to talk about today, why this book out of 30 so far is one of my favorites. Let's get started. Okay, so if you have listened to or read the Savage North Chronicles, you are very familiar with this book. And if you have not, there are going to be spoilers in this video. So this book is free to read everywhere across all ebook retailers. It's also free to listen here on YouTube. So feel free to do that before listening to this video. Not only was this the most complicated book I've ever written, it is one of the longest and most heart-wrenchingly beautiful and exciting books as well. So a few reasons why this book is forever permanently ingrained in my brain. First, it's the first truly gritty, heart-breaking story that I have ever written. I was able to flex my writing muscles so much in this and write something that I was super passionate about a topic that was actually very difficult for me to write about at the same time. Not only is this story heartbreaking on a lot of different levels, because the characters themselves have so much baggage and so much that they are working through before it even starts. We have Jackson, who is a recovering alcoholic. We have Elle, who's going to therapy because she was abused by her stepfather, and all the things in between. And then this COVID-like virus hits. Now let me back up and say I wrote this before COVID. And yes, I know we didn't come out with abilities afterwards. I guess it is what it is. But I had to do so much research to make it feel real as a global pandemic that I felt like I had some sort of inkling about, or that I could portray in a way that made sense and was realistic. The other thing that was really difficult for this is because it's contemporary, because it's happening in modern day, I had to contend with the world ending and all the technology that comes with it. So I understand why post-apoc authors write EMPs, because I bet you it's way easier. I did so much research for this book, from having how to survive in the Arctic and live off the land, what Alaska is like in general, because I live in the lower 48. I live in California. I don't live in Alaska. I don't know what it's like to be there and have little unnamed towns and boroughs so far removed, or be a state trooper, let alone, it's one thing to write about a cop who I could go interview from my family here in California, but it's completely different when you're in Alaska. So there was so much that I needed to look into and understand before I could even start writing. So that was one of the things that made it, I wouldn't say stressful, but a very complex project for me. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so proud of it, is because I put my heart and soul into it, and I learned so much about living off the land and what the culture is like there still to this day, and so on. The characters in this just break my heart, every single one. So I absolutely adore all the characters in this series. I feel like they're the one, up until this point, Elle and Jackson specifically are some of the best characters that I've written. And to this day, Jackson Mitchell is my favorite character that I've written. And I've written 30 books times however many characters are in each book, okay? There's just something about him that I fell in love with when I was writing, and I haven't looked back. I've never second guessed his character, what I put him through, how he evolved, especially throughout the whole series. I love his character arc, and I love how real and broken and amazing and strong he is all at the same time. He doesn't even see it in himself, ever probably, but his found family in this series really shows him who he is and who he can be, and there's just something really remarkable about that, and he's just stuck with me ever since. One of the other things that was so difficult about this story was cutting chapters, because this book, let's just see, I can't remember how many chapters. It's 66 chapters, and that's after I cut all of Alex's chapters and most of Sophie's chapters, because that's where The Longest Night came into play. This story, the longer I was writing it, the more I got into the characters, the more I realized this is Jackson and Elle's story. It can't be Alex and Sophie's too, because it just didn't feel right. So I pulled a lot of those chapters out, and then I was like, what the hell do I do with these? So that's why there's that random second book that fills in a lot of holes for Sophie and Alex, but it's also more of a parallel story because it's happening before, the second half of this book. And it also really sets the stage for a series that I've been wanting to write for so long, because it starts with the end and crumbling of society, but then from there, I get to go and explore everything else. I get to explore the other stories, how the world is transitioning, how the characters are growing, how abilities are changing, who had abilities, who didn't have abilities, and so on. So those are a few reasons why I absolutely love this specific book in the Savage North Chronicles. It really left its mark, and I couldn't be more proud of the story that I created. And after reading it, again, having lived through COVID, I'm pretty proud of myself, because there's a lot in there that felt pretty real and realistic, and there wasn't a lot that I caught on, or really anything was like, oh, that would never happen. If anything, I would go back and add things, but there was nothing that felt wrong. So that's also kind of a nice little pat on my back that just made me more proud of it too. So I hope that is enlightening. I hope that it makes sense. And I really hope that you enjoyed listening to or reading The Darkest Winter. If you want to buy a forever copy of the audiobook, ebook, or if you want to sign paperback, you can get all of those at my bookshop. I also have bundles in there of all the things. So feel free to check that out. And as always, thank you so much for posting your questions, because it helps me learn what it is readers and listeners really want me to post, to talk about, and so on. So if you have questions, leave them in the comments, email me, whatever you'd like to do. You can find out all the places I hang out in the links below, and the other books that are in this specific Ask Me Anything, my favorite 5 books that I've written to date series. You'll find all that below. All right, so I have more videos coming up. Oh, I forgot. If you are at all interested in reading an ebook version that has my annotated notes throughout my reread of The Darkest Winter, you can do so for free in my Rogue Reader community. You can reread it in the community app, and then you can see where I have made notes as I've gone through my read through, and then you can see what my reflections and memories were and thoughts for those specific areas. So feel free to check it out. Links below. See you next time.